What extra work went into getting this on the schedule? What were the channels you had to go through to put
That's
this?
kind of a good topic for wrestling, and I think there was a lot of cooperation with a lot of different people, and one for sure had to be with Penn State and Sanderson, and then our administration and their administration. I mean, you're working schedules around, and then at Penn State, with his schedule, you had to be the right timing and all that, and then our schedule had to be the right timing, and then you get a date, and then you have, I've talked about this before, you have cooperation between athletics and Central Campus. It was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal to make it happen at prime time and to do the things that they did and move some things around that they did. I don't want that to be the focus. I know it's a big deal. I know it's important to talk about. We're more about the performance thing, but sometimes for the better of the sport, you have to put energy into things like this. And it's been a real good thing.
Is that why it was so important to get this meet to come about when the Big Ten schedule came out and you guys weren't facing each other?
I don't. Here's the thing. This isn't the first time that there hasn't been, what I would say two of the best teams wrestle because of the scheduling. We talked about this earlier because these schedules come out early, 2 years in advance. When Nebraska came in, we knew it. We just probably, it wasn't on your radar. And then it first starts coming up last year at the U.S. Open is when we first started talking about it. And then it goes away, and then you see him at the trials, and then you start talking about it, and then it goes away. And then we were in training camp in Colorado Springs together, and then that's when it really started to get traction, and then that's when you started maybe talking to your administration about the possibilities of it.
Is it going to be a protected rivalry in the future once Rutgers and Maryland come in?
Right now, and I don't know if it's official or not, but in the May Big Ten meeting, one rivalry, each school has one rivalry, and Penn State and Iowa were the rivalry, which to me, that's why some coaches were arguing for 2 or 3 or 4 schools to have a rivalry. So every year you see 2 or 3 or 4 schools. That makes more sense to me. Minnesota and Nebraska, that's important to Iowa. Wisconsin's important to Iowa. And then Penn State's important to Iowa. So if you had 2 or 3 or 4, it'd be better, and then you'd rank them. But the way that it went down with the other schools, and it's basically like you were picking and what makes the most sense. And Penn State and Iowa weren't paired up.
Why did that make the most sense?
Just because of where both programs are at now, and if one of us starts to suck, then it probably doesn't make sense. But as long as both programs are where they are now, it makes sense. But Minnesota makes sense too, and regionally, Wisconsin and Nebraska make sense.